is Plourde, and I was president in 2014-2015. I actually started going to more of the events that they were having at a time when I was in between jobs. So it was really like, okay, I got to get out and network with peers and meet some people and see. It was in the early 2000s, I guess, or late 1990s. And through that, when I started to meet more people that were already involved with the association and committees, I expressed an interest in getting involved with the committee. And not too long after that, I got a call from the CEO at the time asking if I was interested in running for council to represent the Fredericton area. So I said, okay. So that's how I got started. I ended up representing Fredericton in 2001, I believe, was when I started on council for the first time. And then I continued for years after that on committees and then went back on council in 2013 and to become president in 2014. When I was in high school, considering what I was going to do, I knew that I enjoyed sciences and math mostly. And the science that I enjoyed least was probably biology. So I was looking around for, okay, what can I do with sciences and math that's not medicine or not nursing? And I thought about chemistry because I had a great chemistry teacher. But when I thought about what I would do after the chemistry degree, the things that I was thinking about didn't really appeal to me because of what I was thinking was working in a lab or potentially doing a PhD or something and becoming a professor, and it didn't really spark my interest that much. But then I heard about chemical engineering and the fact that it was more using your knowledge to apply to real-world situations to design something or solve a problem. So that kind of appealed to me a little more. So I started off thinking I would go into chemical engineering, and I started at UPEI because I'm an islander, so started in my backyard, and at that time they were doing a general engineering diploma program, so it was like an introduction to a few of the different disciplines, and I ended up choosing civil engineering and going to UMB. When I started talking about wanting to go into engineering, there were certain people that did not necessarily respond positively about it. They questioned it and, like, do you really, really want to do that? Are you sure you want to do that? Because they knew that it was a male-dominated field and they were questioning whether I was really interested in that challenge. And in a way, I think that actually spurred me on even more because I guess I do like a challenge, and I think a lot of people that do go into something that's not traditionally expected of them are those people that like the challenge. One of the things that sets a profession apart is that professionals are accountable, especially to the public. In particular in engineering, they're accountable to make sure that the public safety and public interest is protected. And having self-regulation actually puts another layer on top of that. So you're actually accountable, not only accountable to the public, you're accountable to yourself and you're accountable to your peers. So I think the association in self-regulation elevates the profession by making the professional engineers accountable to their peers, accountable to the public. And I think engineering is such a diverse profession too, that it's difficult to say that a civil engineer does exactly this job and, if you do something outside of that job, then you're not, working within your profession. Engineering is so diverse that it's difficult for somebody else to identify what your job is. And it changes as you become more experienced, and there's so much teamwork that you learn from others. So your competence and your profession changes as you go along. So having that self-regulation and being able to determine what your area of competence is, I think, is an important part of a career like engineering. I'm chair of the Diversity Inclusion Committee, which is working to increase the diversity of people that are becoming engineers and in particular focusing on getting more women into engineering because we're still quite underrepresented in the professions. So I chair that committee, and I'm also have been involved since 2001, since I started on the Board of Admissions. So we review applications for licensure in New Brunswick. I think the overarching premise is that more diversity is better, especially for a profession of problem solvers, because the more diversity of thought that you have in approaching a problem, the more likely you're going to come up with the best solution. Gender diversity is just one part of that. It just happens to be one of the things that is most highly underrepresented in engineering, in the engineering profession, and in other technical professions tend to be that way. One of my fondest memories when I was president was actually an opportunity to speak, be among 3 people to speak at an Association of Consulting Engineering Companies of New Brunswick awards event that they had, and they invited me to speak along with the current president of the ACEC New Brunswick, that organization, as well as the national president of the Association of Consulting Engineering Companies. And we all happened to be women at the time, so they kind of made it an event, the reception beforehand, to celebrating women in engineering, and the fact that at that time we had 3 women as presidents of their respective organizations. So it was good to meet those women and get to know them and to recognize the achievements of women in engineering. Throughout the years that I've been involved with the association, on different committees, going to different events, you just have the opportunity to meet a lot of people and to make a lot of friends that have common interests, and some have come from a lot of different backgrounds. So it has been rewarding when somebody does seek you out, and you may not know them, but they're seeking you out because they've heard about you in a variety of ways, and they seek you out for advice. So it's always nice to be thought of as a role model or a mentor. Yeah. It's partly the people that you meet, the experiences that you get to have together, and it's a lot of it has to do with feeling like you're making an impact on your profession. Feeling like you're helping to steer it in the right direction. Probably, it's not one moment, but it was kind of a process. And my proudest thing to say that I was able to accomplish was to elevate the conversation around diversity and inclusion in the engineering profession, and to help people understand the value of increasing diversity and of making sure that people feel included in the profession when they come into it, that they don't feel like an outsider in their own profession. And so during the time that I was president, we created a diversity and inclusion committee. And today we actually, a few months ago, hired a new diversity inclusion coordinator. So now we have a staff member, and she and the committee are working to partner with other organizations like Engineers Canada to progress towards a 30 by 30 goal. And we've been able to recently partner with people at the Department of Education, for example, to help teachers and therefore students and therefore the public understand a little more about the diversity and variety of careers available in engineering and what engineering is. So we're moving forward. I think it's a complex challenge, but engineers are used to complex challenges, so we should be able to solve this one with help from others. When I was president, it was Andy McLeod, which he's been CEO for a while, and he just recently retired, so we're sorry to see him go. I think he was great as While I was president, I think he was great at listening to ideas that you have as president, and helping you to facilitate seeing those ideas have an effect or an impact. At the same time, helping you to understand the boundaries and the resources that are available to the association and the mandate of the association to help see how those ideas may fit and help to facilitate some of them happening. Yeah, he doesn't like vegetables at all, except for carrots. I think he'll eat carrots and corn, but other than that, yeah, even if there's pasta or rice, which you'd think he would eat, if there's any onions in it, he won't even he won't even try it. Yeah, he definitely, you can tell actually when at our last annual meeting, I was talking to somebody that was coming in and they were asking, I wonder what we're going to have for dinner tonight. And I said, okay, this is Andy's last dinner as CEO. So you know he's going to have prime rib and Caesar salad. Yeah, prime rib and Caesar salad. Those would be his favorites for sure. Potatoes, meat and potatoes guy. I've had a chance to work with several staff over the years on different committees, and they're definitely the backbone of the organization. They're very dedicated, hardworking people. A lot of the committees do work after hours. There's meetings and such sometimes on a Friday, annual meeting, for example. It's evenings and weekends sometimes. So they're committed to the engineering profession, they're committed to the organization, and they help make it run. The volunteers definitely have, we couldn't do it without all the volunteers either, but having the staff people there is key, and they're great, yeah. To me, I think the biggest risk is for us to kind of rest on our laurels and think that we, from what we've learned over the years, we know what we're doing, and not to keep looking forward to how the world is changing, how the problems in the world are changing, dealing with climate change, coming up with new technologies for energy, improve our energy, keeping up with just changes in the way that we communicate, the way that we solve problems, the way that we reach out to stakeholders to get their input, for us not to stay relevant. And I think that we're doing a good job of staying relevant. And I think that also ties into the value of increasing our diversity of our members to be more representative of the public that we're serving, just to remain relevant. I hope so. Because of the fact that I think the self-regulation helps us to be accountable to ourselves and each other, as well as it enables us to be able to define our own area of competency. I think it's a good thing for the profession. I think just to keep in mind our mandate, which is our main mandate, is to ensure that the public interest and the public safety is protected in whatever engineers do. Ensure that engineers ensure that. But also to kind of think big picture and how, what we can do to make sure that the profession is the best it can be, that our professionals are behaving in the way that is reflective of a professional, and that we get the best minds in our profession so that we can help solve the world's problems. When I first graduated, well, when I was first in my first engineering diploma program at UPI, I remember getting a computer-aided design program, computer, which was almost like it filled half a room. So definitely that's, and they wouldn't really let us do anything on it because they didn't want us to break it. So definitely, even in the short period that I was in university, 5 years or so, that definitely changed. We, became users of computers and computer-aided design quite a bit. Yeah, the whole technology industry has changed so much. The way that we design, the way that we communicate, the way you can do everything on your phone now. You don't even need a computer half the time. That's definitely changed. And then the ability to communicate with other professionals outside of your office and even outside of your country. I know the company that I work for is a global company now, and there's not really any boundaries between offices. If we need a specialist in something and they're located in Auckland, New Zealand, we talk to them there. The time change is a little bit difficult at times, but yeah, there's definitely a lot more collaboration, and technology has kind of enabled that, I think. I'm not sure that engineers have changed, but I think people's understanding of what an engineer is very much more broad than most people's understanding or stereotype of what an engineer is. I think most people think of an engineer as a white guy sitting in a cubicle, crunching a bunch of numbers and coming out with a design and not really wanting to talk to people. It's very much not like that. It's very much teamwork. There are people who are engineers who do design and would like to just do design, but there are also many engineers who spend most of their day talking to people and making sure that we have all the input we need to do our designs properly. I've even been in meetings or events where it was a women in engineering event, so we were all women, and I think it was a communications course that we were doing. So we're talking about how the way different personalities communicate, and we kind of divided ourselves up according to whether you thought you were, an analytical or community type. And it ended up that even though we were all women engineers, which you would think you would kind of go towards the analytical, it was quite broad in where people placed themselves. So we definitely all have different personalities and different preferences in the way we do things and the way we communicate. And I think it just makes it interesting. And you're more likely to come up with an idea when you have different ways of looking at it, to come up with a novel idea. The way innovation happens is by taking one idea and speaking to somebody that has a different idea and putting them together and coming